Good evening, everybody, and welcome to, I guess, what I've been calling episode 4.5 since our last attempt at this episode didn't go particularly well, but we seem to be having fewer technical issues tonight. As always, I'm joined by my good friend Luke Steele. Luke, how are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, very well. It seems to be holding firm so far, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah, the Discord widget's working. I can hear you loud and clear. We've not had any botting just
lovely.
yet, so things are hopefully good. Yeah, last time we obviously tried to have a little bit of chat. I think now that we're in January, I think the Game Awards is been and gone. I don't think we need to touch on that too much now. It's like a month away. But I thought for this show we could maybe just talk a little bit about our favorite games of last year. Maybe
Yeah,
have a little bit of a goatee conversation. I mean, you put your top 10 list up just before
I did.
New Year as well. And obviously, as we're in the first week of January, maybe it could be good just to have a chat about our most anticipated games of this year. Although there's still a lot we don't know
Mm,
about the year. Obviously, it's still very early, but there's a few things that we're kind of already I guess that already got release dates, at least for the year, maybe not necessarily a specific date in the year. And I guess there's a little bit of speculation, maybe Switch 2, PS5 Pros, things like
yeah,
that we can have a chat about as well. So appreciate a few people already in the chat. We got Dazarus and Pyro Matt in the chat. Thank you very much for joining, gents. If you wouldn't mind, the usual subscribe, maybe share it out, see if we can get a few more people in. That would be wonderful. But thank you guys very much for joining as always, Luke. Thank you very much for being part of it.
of
Obviously, I
course.
was a bit gutted we missed out last time
Mm,
because we tried to get into it and then we just completely lost you entirely,
yeah,
and then we figured it was best just to give up. Obviously, Dazzy was around for that as well, and funnily enough, that episode somehow got more views than some of the other episodes we've got. Maybe because it was a bit
bit
shorter.
shorter.
So
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, mate. Obviously, 2023 has been and gone. I think it's fair to say a pretty good year for games, or at least the game releases. Obviously, there's a lot
yeah,
of, I guess, the other issues that surrounded the gaming industry over the past 12 months. But from a games perspective, I think it's been a pretty good year around, hasn't it?
yeah. As you say, tempered with the all the kind of shitty
Yeah,
non-actual game stuff. Um, but other than that, yeah, really, really just one of the best years that I can remember for games. Really, it'll be forever spoken about. I think it's one of those like top years for gaming.
yeah, definitely.
Just so much stuff, like so many games, all of very high quality or most of very high quality, and then a real big handful of outstanding games as well. Many of which, or some of which, I've still not even touched or barely touched. So it tells you to the volume of games that came out last year. Um, so yeah, it was a great year, and this year also looks very good.
Yeah,
Not as good as last year, but as you say, there's a lot that we don't know about yet. So it'll be interesting to see what pans out. But I think the backlog of games from last year is still pretty significant. So like even in the lull, if there's going to be a lull period this year, I think that you can fill that really easily.
yeah, definitely. I know when we were speaking about your GOTY list, there was a few games that I'll probably say were in my sort of top 10 games of the year that you hadn't had a chance to play just yet. So yeah, there's still
Yep.
a lot to get through, and I think that's testament to the quality of the games. If anything, I think you could even argue it was maybe too many games,
Mm.
considering how many games we didn't get through. Actually, I did get something. I was going to challenge you. I know it was
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, but can you remember without looking? Can you remember your top 10 list that you posted on
Um,
Twitter out of interest?
I could remember. I think I could remember most of it. Yeah, yeah. Like I certainly top five. I could definitely remember. Top six actually. I could probably remember.
Cool.
Beyond
Do you,
that, I could. Yeah, I can say
I was
them. I
going to say,
think.
do you want to give it a shot? I'm
Yeah, I'll
curious
give
if
it.
you remember them.
I'll give it a shot. Yeah. I'll go from six downwards, and then I'll try and plug in the other games. So I remember six was Final Fantasy 16, just because it also had six in the name. Um, I think 5 was RE4, 4 was Spider-Man 2, and then the top 3 in order, from 3 to 1 were Cocoon, Tears of the Kingdom, and then Alan Wake 2 was number one. And then I think the other games were Phantom Liberty, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Witchfire, and Hi-Fi Rush.
Nice. Yeah,
So
you
I
got them
think,
all. I actually took a little
yeah,
screenshot and I've put it up on screen now if anyone's curious about Luke's top 10 that I post on Twitter. Obviously a few, I would say, glaring omissions on there. I appreciate Baldur's
yes,
Gate 3 was one that neither of us have had a chance really to
yeah,
to play. So
started it,
that's
but
yeah.
just couldn't get it. Like just it. I started it, and like 10 minutes in, I was like, I'm going to enjoy this. I know I'm going to enjoy it, but it was almost like I became too, daunted, overwhelmed by it immediately. Like I was
Yeah.
like, this is going to be huge, isn't it? And I was like, actually, I'm gonna just check out and finish some things that I wanted to finish that I didn't actually do over Christmas, and then come back to it. So
Yeah, and I guess maybe the biggest omission from there, maybe Starfield, and actually one of the first times that we
yeah,
had a chance to speak on this show, we spoke about Starfield and how it maybe didn't quite hit the heights that maybe
no,
we wanted from that type of game. So it's no surprise to see it on that list. It probably wouldn't be on my top 10 either, to be perfectly
no,
honest.
not not a bad game, by no means a bad game. Good in many ways, but I think the problem with last year is that good maybe doesn't get you anywhere near a top 10 because there are
Yeah.
lots of good games. For example, I just finished Dead Space remake finally a year
Oh wow.
later.
Okay. So
Like, yeah, yeah,
you only just got that. When did that? That was
yeah.
January last
That
year,
was
wasn't it?
January last year, so
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
just finished that, and I loved it, but it wouldn't make my top 10.
Yes.
So,
Same.
it's fantastic, but yeah, that's the kind of standard. So, um, yeah, Starfield, just, I mean, controversial in many ways. Still spoken about, and I think it's become some weird like console war fodder as well.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think, I mean, my experience of the game was that it has a lot of strong bits to it, bits that I enjoyed, but too much in the way of a good time. So I suspect you're probably around the same. Did you finish it in the end?
Nah,
Did you finish it? No, because
I
I
ended up
didn't either. Yeah,
uninstalling it after about 10 to
yeah. So
15
the
hours, if I'm being honest.
yeah,
It's probably one of those games where I don't know if they'll ever be able to do it on an Xbox, but it's funny. Obviously, I'm playing the Alan Wake 2 at the moment as well, and I'm playing that actually in the quality mode, the 30 FPS mode, and I'm finding it generally fine. I switched to performance, but the game looks so good in quality, and I
yeah,
kind of wanted to stick with that. Obviously, with putting on console, I kind of have to choose between the two. But Starfield, with it being first person shooter, I really struggled with
yeah,
with the
yeah.
30 FPS. If I'm being honest, I played it a little bit on my laptop, and by down the sentence down, I was able to get more than 60 FPS. To be fair, I could probably do a little bit better now that they've got DLSS in there. They didn't when I tried it, and honestly, I found the 30 FPS on console to detract from the experience.
Yeah,
I know maybe different people have different opinions on that, whether you can play 30 FPS or not. And it's not that I can't, because like I say, Alan Wake 2, I'm perfectly happy playing that at 30. But for Starfield, I just think it kind of detracted from the experience. So maybe I would go back to it if I do manage to get around to building a decent PC rig, or if they release a performance mod. And obviously by that point, it will have had some patches, maybe some DLC
yeah,
to improve it. They've already spoken about things that they want to do, like improving ways to traverse around the world and things like that, which would be pretty cool. So I think it is a game that'll have legs, like Bethesda games tend to have. So maybe I'll go back to it. But what I would say to that is, I've said many times, I'll get back to that, and then obviously the new
never happens.
hotness
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
around, and you forget about it. And I've kind of got that problem a little bit with Baldur's Gate 3 at the moment, where I do want to pick it up, but obviously I'll play it on Xbox. They've got that save game issue at the moment that people might have heard, and I've just got no intention of playing that game until that's been fixed, because if I play that game and I lose a save, even if it's only like 15, 20 hours, I'll drop it. I'll not go back. But it's kind of maybe thinking ahead a little bit to later in the show. Later this month we've got like Infinite Wealth coming out, which is probably going to be a decent sized game. And if I get to that first, I'll probably not get to Baldur's Gate because I'll be sinking my teeth into that, and that's kind of what happens, and that's why people's backlogs grow, because you're always looking to play the hottest new thing, and the stuff that came out a bit earlier, you don't get around to, So what games? Oh, sorry, what were you going to say there, Matt?
No, it's just agreed. Great.
Yeah. So what games from last year didn't you get to that you're actually looking to play?
Yeah, so I mean the main one was Baldur's Gate 3, which I have started, as I say, but I haven't got far at all. So I'm just trying to think like when to properly get invested in that. It's quite hard because it's such a demanding game, but in terms of time, but it may be one of those that I can get into and sort of play sessions, in between other games. I think because of the size of it, that's probably the best way to play it. So that's the main one. The other one that I really want to play is Armored Core 6, which I just didn't pick up at all. But want to pick that up, particularly because it works well on Steam Deck. So it's a good, and I think the nature of it in terms of missions, having missions that are defined, and then you just jump, you can finish a mission and then you can jump back out. It's not like Elden Ring where you're kind of in a place in the world, at a point in time. That's quite nice. Apparently the PC port is amazing for Armored Core 6 as well. I think it's the first From Software game in forever that has native support for above 60 FPS, because notoriously their games are always locked at 60 FPS.
Oh, really? Even on PC? Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that. So, it's a bit strange.
Weird. Yeah, Elden Ring is exactly the same. You have to there's a mod obviously to remove that, so that's fine. But it's bizarre. So I think those are the main two. I'm trying to think of others. I still didn't finish Hi-Fi Rush, even though it's in my top 10. I think it's that good.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that I played well over half, but I can't remember. Like, I'm not sure how far I am from the end, but definitely over half. So I want to finish that. A lot of indies that I didn't get to. So Dredge, still want to pick up Dredge, and play that. Dave the Diver I didn't finish, although that's a huge game as well. So there's lots, like a lot.
I think that really just highlights how good last year was. And there's a few games that you mentioned there as well that I did either play or complete. So Hi-Fi Rush, I completed that. I mean, it's relatively short. I think maybe like 10 hours. So it shouldn't take you too long to finish that. I've just seen Indies in the chat there. Evening Indie, thank you very much for joining Matt. Appreciate you stopping by. And that would probably, I mean, honestly, Hi-Fi Rush is. I haven't actually done a top 10. Maybe I'll try to put together a top 10 in a little bit, but that would definitely be very near the top. I absolutely love that game. And if I remember rightly, the ending was fantastic as well. So,
nice.
It's great that it's in your top. I think it was 8 that you had that. So, maybe once you get around to finish it, it could creep up. But I really enjoyed that. Yeah. Dredge was one of my favorite games of the year as well. I actually need to go back and play the DLC that they've released for that. And I don't know if you saw, but Dave the Diver and Dredge did a crossover, which I need to try and play as well. But I'm probably only about 10 or so hours into Dave the Diver. I think it's a fairly meaty game for, I guess, when you look at it, maybe you don't get that impression, but I'm looking forward to trying that. And then were you planning on playing Sea of Stars out of interest, Luke?
Oh yeah, and see, this is the thing. There's just games I completely
it's easy to forget.
Yeah. Yes, that is. In fact, I started that. I actually got that on because it was part of PlayStation Extra.
Oh yeah.
Extra. Yeah. So I downloaded it on there of all things, and started it and was enjoying it. But I think at the time I was ill, so I
Yeah.
like played a bit and I was like, this is good, but I can't concentrate that well on it, so I'll put it down. But yeah, that's another one that I really want to play. But that's like a 20-hour game, isn't it? That's like pretty meaty. So
Yeah, it is.
um,
To be fair, I completed it, and just a warning. I don't think it's a spoiler to say it at this point, but it's got like a true ending that requires you to
okay,
go back
okay,
and play more. So I didn't get the true ending. Admittedly, I did look it up on YouTube after the fact,
yeah,
and to be honest, I kind of wish I had stuck with it, knowing what the true ending is. So yeah, it's a pretty meaty game, probably over 30 hours when you factor in the true ending part of things. If you're that type of player, but I'm normally the type of guy that once I've hit credits, I'm kind of done with the game. I don't necessarily try to rush through them, but I don't go out my way to try and get all the side content and
yeah.
stuff. So, but Sea Stars again, that's another one that's probably very high up on that list, and I'm thinking, if I remember rightly, they've got DLC coming for that. I don't know if that's going to be this year or not, but I think they did talk about DLC for the game, and yeah, obviously if that comes out, I'll obviously be looking to check that out. So yeah, just a great year all around, mate. I think I'm going to try to think of sort of my top 10. I think not in any order at the moment. So try to think of some games that aren't on your list. So Dredge and Sea of Stars, they'll absolutely be up there.
Yep.
Would you have Diablo? Well, obviously you've not got it in your top 10, but,
No, yeah.
Diablo's obviously something that's missing from your list. That was actually my third highest played game on Xbox when I got
Yeah.
the year in review email from there. That would probably be on the list because I have spent a lot of time and I have really enjoyed it. Not perfect by
Yeah.
any stretch, flawed in a lot of ways, but still, it's a game I spent a lot of time with and enjoyed. Where did you land on Diablo 4 in the end? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. Again, it was really good. I'm a massive Diablo fan anyway. I haven't put as much time into it as I thought I would when it released. So, I mean, I've still put like a chunky amount of time. I've put like, over probably 50, 60 hours into it. So it's
yeah,
not as if I've not done, I've finished the story run, for example, and done some end game stuff. But I kind of just fell off it, and I think part of that is probably, again, it's one of those games that seasonally really demands your attention, and I just can't keep up with that cadence in those kind
yeah,
of games. Um, Particularly, I kind of love and hate Halo Infinite for this, but because that game is so great with how it, you how it kind of distributes its battle passes in terms of you can just buy one and then go back anytime you want and finish that battle pass. Like, it kind of spoils other games now when the battle pass is like, well, take it or leave it in terms of either you finish it in time in the season or it's gone forever.
yeah,
And I really don't like that because it puts unnecessary pressure, and I mean, it's very deliberate to keep you engaged in the content, but I don't like that. So that kind of turned me off Diablo a little bit, and it turns me off other games that do that as well. I also don't like that in Diablo seasonally you have to create a new character and there's all that stuff, which is a bit disappointing to me. But it's a great game. I love it. And I've recently reinstalled it actually because it was uninstalled for a bit, but I'm going to go back to it soon just because I'd like to get it back up and running on the Steam Deck where it's a really great experience as well. So yeah, very good, but just again, just a very good game, not really great, which is my top 10.
yeah. I mean that's fair. I would
Yeah.
probably put it in my top 10. I was actually a little annoyed because I did buy it on the Epic Games, not Epic Games, sorry, BattleNet. About
Yep.
2 or 3 weeks before they
Came to
announced
Steam.
the Steam version,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a pain. I mean, it still runs fine on Steam Deck, but there's a little bit more to get it wrong with. I did play a lot of it on Steam Deck, and actually going back to Baldur's Gate 3, I think I would probably have picked up Baldur's Gate 3 on Steam if it did run a little bit better on the Steam Deck. I
Yeah.
think it's kind of one of those games that I think just goes beyond the Steam Deck, where it's like, actually no, I'd probably prefer to play that on console, to be honest. But obviously if it did work on Steam Deck, I'll probably have a little bit more time to get to it. So
Yeah, they've patched it quite a lot recently, so apparently performance is a lot better now on Steam Deck, even in
Oh, okay, cool.
the later acts, which is where it's the most demanding apparently.
Yeah. Was it
So
Act Three? I think
yeah,
that
Act
was kind of
3,
the
I
infamous
think.
one
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah. So
made
it's
games buckle. So
yeah. So I think it's definitely better now. But I'll try it and when I start playing it, I think, and see how it is.
yeah. I've just seen indie saying there's not enough indie on your list. The indie to AAA ratio, not that indie's liking, but we do have Cocoon in the top three, which would
Top
definitely
three,
be
yeah.
in my
Indie top
top
3.
games
Come on,
as
man.
well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think other games that aren't on your list that'll be on mine. Planet of Lana would probably
Oh yeah.
be up there as well. Did you end up completing that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I played an hour or so. Good, like, but I didn't, I didn't find it exceptional in the
Yeah,
bit that I played. But
that's
I
fair.
haven't completed it, so
Yeah, I really really enjoyed it. It'll probably be in the list because it's my list. I'm going to put any game that I want on there, and actually a game that didn't release last year that I'm still going to put on my list because I played it
nice.
for the first time is Inscription, which I think you'll be a fan
Oh
of
yeah, God,
of
what a
that
good
pick.
game.
Yeah, I think it only came to Xbox last year, so I finally picked it up on my Xbox, and
If
it was a game I've been looking to play for a while, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, if Inscription had actually released last year, that would still be in my like top 5. That's how
Yeah,
good the game was. So it might even like be top 3. It might push something
yeah,
else out there. That's how good I think a game is. And obviously at the Game Awards we got Daniel Mullins' next game, which is Pony Island 2. So I'm really looking forward to that.
yeah. I didn't play Pony Island 1.
No, you should.
Assuming that, I was gonna say, assuming there
Yeah.
is one, I didn't know if like if because I hadn't even heard of it. If I'm being completely honest with you, mate, I'm ashamed to say it. Is that a game that's definitely worth
Yes.
checking out? Do you think?
Yeah. It's dirt cheap on PC. It's very easy to run. So it's not very long. Yeah, definitely go and get that. If you like, I mean, I think the thing is, if you like one Daniel Mullins game, you'll probably like all of them.
Yeah,
So if you loved Inscription, obviously that's a card, kind of card builder game as well.
yeah,
Pony Island is not, but it's a really crazy experience. So yeah, go and check that out, and then that'll probably get you excited for Pony Island 2 as well.
yeah. Is that coming out this year? I can't remember if they put a release date on,
I can't
on it.
remember if he said a release date or not on that one.
Take
Yeah,
a
I
little
can't
look, see
remember.
if it was on there. Can't remember because that was the Game Awards,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 And obviously
Um,
I'm a big. I know this isn't necessarily Pony Island wasn't a deck builder, but I'm a big fan of those. I've just picked up a game called Cobalt Core on Steam that came out in November,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a blend between Into the Breach and Slay the Spire. Which, if you've played either of those games and liked them, that's probably sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good to me. I've been enjoying that. I've only played like maybe an hour or two so far. I've only started kind of two nights ago, but really enjoyed what I've played of that. I think it'd been out a while, but initially came out early access and then hit 1.0 in November. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a release date for Point Island 2 just yet. Obviously, there's just the announcement trail. So maybe I'll try to get to that. But again, it could be one of those games. We just spoke about it where I'll maybe buy it, especially if it's dirt cheap, and then it goes on the backlog, and it's always really difficult to get to it. But it's funny you mentioned Diablo and Halo, obviously live service games. They've taken up a bit of my time this year. I still played an absolute shitload of Halo. It was my most played game of 2023. I still really enjoy playing Halo. And Apex Legends. I have fallen off that a little bit, mainly because the finals. I've got some footage of the finals on. Came out, and I've really been enjoying that. Actually, it's just really refreshing, like Halo, to play a shooter that's not a battle royale. I think the battle royale phase is officially dead now, and it just I play this and I've got no intention of playing Apex, even though obviously I really like the mechanics of the game. I think it's just the fact it's a battle royale is kind of a little off-putting. So
Mm.
and there's been a lot of talk. I think Jason Schreier put out his predictions 2024, and I think he said like the death of the live service game would be this year.
Yeah.
So there might be an
Hooray.
element of truth to that. So but yeah, Diablo 4 is one of the ones where I've kind of struggled a little bit with the live service element. I've got 3 characters. I've got my first character, the most recent one, to level 100.
Yep.
But it's just such a grind, man. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but I think some of the stuff that they've done compared to D3 is not quite as good. So even though I've really enjoyed it, I do think there's an element of it's gone backwards a touch.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily just want to recreate D3, but yeah, I want I want my Diablo games to just feel a little less grindy if I can. So yeah, and,
Yeah.
oh, Indy's just put a good chat in the chat. Jusant, which I really enjoyed
Yep.
this
Still
this
not,
year. Actually,
still not finished it. Very good. Plays like 3 hours of it. Very good. Haven't finished it. But yeah, really enjoyed what I've played. Although I've played like the same 2 hours like twice or 3 times
Yeah.
this year. So, but it's very good. And I will finish that for sure.
Yeah,
It's good.
Indy says, yeah, you got definitely finishing. I'd agree with that. I really enjoyed Jusant. Yeah, so let's see if I can put together a little bit of a top 10. So let's say in no order, I'd have Dredge, Sea of Stars, Indy just for you. I'll try to go through my indies first. Probably Planet of Lana, Cocoon would be in there. And then I say probably Inscription. I'm going to let myself have it. It's my list after all, even if it technically wasn't a 2023 game. And then Hi-Fi Rush, Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Wonder. I'm going to put definitely Alan Wake's in there. Obviously, I haven't finished it yet, but I've loved what I've played so far, except for the Cynthia bit, which maybe we'll touch on. And what would be the 10th game? What am I missing? What wouldn't? Yeah, India. I enjoyed Last Case of Benedict Fox, but I probably wouldn't put it up there. Would I want to put Diablo on my top 10? Yeah, probably Diablo, unless something else comes to mind. To be perfectly honest, so I think that's probably what I'd land on. I'd probably go on that list. Ooh, probably Hi-Fi Rush 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would probably say Cocoon probably would be 2 for me. Then maybe Alan Wake 2. Then probably Mario Wonder.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is hard, man. Like it's. I mean, they're all going to be in the top 10. I'd probably put Sea of Stars, then Tears of the Kingdom, then Dredge, then Inscription, then Diablo 4. I think that covers the 10. That's probably what I'd go with without putting too much thought into it. But yeah, obviously a lot of games that I haven't played that were on your list. You know, Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man, Resident Evil, etc. And I'm pretty sure there's probably games that I'm forgetting about, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, just a pretty awesome year all around, I think. And I think Indy's just said, where did you say that, Indy? I'm pretty sure you said, yeah, this year's going to be even better. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that this year's going to be a really good year for games. Obviously, we don't know an awful lot at the moment, but we do know a few things that are coming. Obviously, we can have a little bit of speculation on what's to come. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty good year. Pyro, no, I didn't have a chance to play Like a Dragon again. Man Who Erases Time. What a title that is, man. Holy shit. I did install it, and the other one as well. Ishin, I've installed that. I've just not had a chance to get around to it, to be honest. Obviously, I'm really looking forward to Infinite Wealth. I much prefer, I mean, I know there's only one, but I much prefer the turn-based Like a Dragon games over the brawler type games, I guess. It was one of the reasons I couldn't really get into the original Yakuza games until Like a Dragon was. I just vibe with the combat of Like a Dragon a hell of a lot more, I think. So yeah. Anything else? Oh, actually, I guess I did want to chat to you about Alan Wake 2. And funny you mentioned Dead Space. I know we were chatting about in the DMs. Dead Space or Alan Wake in terms of scarier game?
I think probably Alan Wake actually. Part of that might be because obviously that's fresher in terms of horror. You know, I've
Yeah,
played the original Dead Space, and towards the end of Dead Space, I think some of the atmosphere is lost because like there's many more necromorphs by the time you're hitting the end
yeah,
of it. Whereas Alan Wake, it's always kind of it's very consistently unsettling, I
yeah,
think. There's very little like there are some action segments, but they're very few and far between in that game. Um, so yeah, Alan Wake 2, I think, particularly yeah, the Cynthia bit, really unsettling. Anytime the dark presence is coming after you, very
yeah,
unsettling. And just really anytime you're playing as Alan Wake, I find is probably pretty unsettling. You know, that's quite unsettling. Just that environment. I mean, it's great, but it, you know, just the
yeah.
nature of the taken in that area, you know, it's just a bit unsettling. Yeah, but I think anyway.
Yeah, I just want to say good evening to Judzilla. Obviously, we've got the full Indie Game podcast or Indie Gamer podcast crew
Nice.
in tonight as well. So thanks for joining, Juds. I'd honestly, mate, I'd probably say I found or at least so far, I found the saga elements to be honestly a bit scarier, creepier
Mm,
than the Alan Wake bits. And the reason I asked the question initially is that I had a little chat with a few people on Twitter, and a few people said Dead Space was scary, and I think they've got. I think they do horror kind of in a similar way, where it's largely around the atmosphere.
yeah.
There's a few jump scares and things like that, but I've personally found Alan Wake 2 to be significantly more scary, and I think the reason for that in this kind of I guess leads me to my point around why I think Saga section is a little bit scarier than Alan section. I think it's just around the sort of environments. Like in Saga section, you're visiting, I guess, more grounded or relatable areas, like the theme park
Yeah.
or the care home and
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that, where this stuff's going down. I think for me, I found it very easy to kind of like put myself in those locations
Yeah.
and how I
Yeah.
could find those. Where
I don't.
Alan's section, you're in the dark place. Like I'm detached from
Yeah.
that, if that makes sense. That I think it takes it away a little bit.
I think the thing with Alan's section that really unnerved me is the nature of. So, because I completely agree with that, but in Alan's section, the Taken, you never know which Taken
Yeah,
silhouette is an enemy, and I
yeah,
found that really unsettling all the time. Like you'll be walking through, these very like dreamlike it's a very dreamlike environment,
yeah,
but you're walking through it, and through clusters of these, black shadow figures, and you never, particularly if you're low on ammo or low on batteries, you never know which one might then suddenly pop up and attack you. So that's why I found Alan's sections a bit more unsettling. For example, like Coffee World, the theme park.
yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Like I didn't
Yeah.
find it that
Oh
unsettling.
mate,
Like
nah, I
so
didn't.
I mean
I
it
couldn't
is
enjoy
it
that
is a
at
little
all.
bit. It is a little bit like it, but like I was like, oh, this is cool. Like what a weird, thing for a horror game,
Yeah,
to be in a theme park called Coffee World. But like I didn't find it like super unsettling. I found it very manageable, that area, but like some of Alan's areas I found very unsettling. So it's different strokes, isn't it? But I think all of which is to say it's just a very unsettling game
yeah,
generally. I don't think there's many people that will play that game and not be unsettled by it.
yeah,
Um
definitely. And I think actually that has caught me off guard a little bit. Like I knew it was a survival horror game, but
yeah.
based on what I'd heard about the first game, I was just a caveat. I didn't end up completing the first game. I couldn't really get into it. I didn't get that vibe that it was that much horror. I
Yeah.
guess, and obviously we were speaking about it. Without I'm trying not to spoil too much for anyone that might be playing it, but the Cynthia section in particular, honestly, I was regularly shitting my
Yeah.
pants during that bit. I was actually in a party with one of my friends who was also playing Alan Wake at the time, and we were kind of talking about it, and you'll probably know which bit, but basically you go upstairs, a door's locked, you do something, the door's
Yeah.
then unlocked and you go through the door,
Yeah.
something happens. That bit I genuinely squealed. out loud when my friend was in the
Yeah.
party. To his, obviously, he got a good laugh out of it. But yeah, that bit in particular, I think, was just so unsettling, and I was honestly a little relieved when that section was
Yeah,
when
yeah,
that
I felt
section
the
was
same.
over.
Yeah.
So and on Alan Wake 2, I don't think we could finish up talking about Alan Wake 2 without talking about that section. Obviously,
Yeah.
the performance from the game was from there. We touched on it last time we were catching up, and I know you mentioned at the time that you were thinking it was maybe a bit of a shame that that performance had happened before I had a chance to play the game, but
Mm.
honestly, that bit was still
It's still
absolutely
great.
magnificent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was probably my favorite moment from a game this year. If I was just to pick like one specific section, I'd
Yeah.
probably say that there's a similar musical section in, well, obviously Hi-Fi Rush is a musical game, but there's a specific section in there as well that I'd put up there as well. But
Yep.
yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It's really clever what they did with that, and then the section towards the end where you get the flare gun. I think just really,
Yeah.
yeah, was just excellent. Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think yeah, even if you saw the Game Awards performance, I think obviously experiencing it in the way that it's supposed to be delivered in the game is still great. For me, it was really really cool because it's kind of rare sometimes these days that you don't hear about a section um on social media before you actually
Yeah,
get to the point. And I think because like Alan Wake, I think it's sold pretty well, but it's not as if it's like I'll give you an example. Like Spider-Man 2, it's all over my timeline and
yeah,
like I could see that everywhere. And luckily I managed to avoid spoilers for that game, and that has really joined with Alan Wake 2 section one of my favorite surprise kind of gaming moments of the year, which I won't spoil, but like that has an incredible bit in it. Um, but with Alan Wake 2, like I was completely blind to that section coming in. I had no idea that that was going to be there. I kind of thought maybe they would do something like that because obviously they Remedy have those kind of moments in games, and Control has the ashtray maze, which
yeah.
is a really incredible moment as well. So I thought they might try and do something similar, but I really didn't expect what they Herald of Darkness. I just didn't expect that at all. So I remember just kind of smiling ear to ear, really,
Yeah, it was
when I
genuinely
played
that
it.
that type where like
Yeah,
it was a genuine grin the
yeah,
entire way through. And honestly, I think obviously the performance of the Game Awards was great, but I expect
yeah,
that section to be shorter than it actually
yeah,
was
yeah,
because of the song,
yeah.
and it obviously went on a lot longer. So I was surprised at that at least a little bit where it continued, and I was like, oh yes, there's more of this, and
Mm,
it kept coming, and I think tonally as well, it's like it completely different to other parts of the game.
yeah,
It's because it's I don't necessarily want to say it's happy, but you know what I mean. It wasn't stressful, or I
yeah,
wasn't filled with dread or anxiety throughout like basically the rest of the game. So it was quite a nice shift in terms of how I was feeling there as well. So
yeah.
yeah, really really enjoyed it. Judd is just saying he's been in two minds about playing Alan Wake. He's nearly pulled the trigger a couple of times, but he just loves how the atmosphere looks. I'd definitely recommend it, Judd, mate, if you've got the time.
Yeah.
It was actually, I think, not, it's because it's not full price, is it? They didn't put it at 70
No.
$70 or whatever
Yeah.
they sell in the UK. So it's not like it's full price. Yeah, so I definitely recommend it, mate. If you get around to it, it is great, and I should hopefully have that wrapped up. I would probably say, based on where I am, hopefully by the end of the weekend,
Mm.
which would be nice, and then have to decide, what do I go to Baldur's Gate next, or what do I do? So we'll have to see. So, but yeah, I think Remedy for development for me, I don't have the same experience that you've got with them, mate. But obviously, absolutely loved Control. Now really like Alan Wake
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm really really excited for whatever. Well, we know what they've got almost too much in development. What have they got? Control 2, some
Yeah.
multiplayer thing.
Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes.
Yeah,
Which'll be incredible, I would imagine, especially with their engine.
yeah. I kind
Um
of would like them to remake Alan Wake 1 and Alan Wake 2's
yeah.
engine,
And
just so I could play
yeah.
it, because I really couldn't no
Yeah, it's a bit
gel
dated
with the
now.
first one. Even though they
Mm.
remastered it, obviously it still felt really, really dated. So I would like them to do that, but I think they've got enough on the plate at the moment.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, so. Yeah. Any other thoughts on games last year, mate, or any other games that you wanted to chat about before we maybe have a little bit of chat about our most anticipated games of next year?
No, let's chat about well this year
Well, sorry,
now. This
this
year,
year,
yeah,
Christ,
yeah, this
yeah.
year.
It's one of those things start the year where you always forget to put
Yeah,
24 instead of 23 when you're dating something. It takes you a
yeah.
couple of weeks at work to adjust. But yeah, this year now, and this year might be not just a year for games, but possibly hardware as well.
Mm.
We could possibly have a Switch 2, maybe a PS5 Pro.
I think we'll definitely be both of those. I think
Yeah,
we'll.
and
Yeah.
obviously, hopefully a boatload of games. So we'll start actually with
Mm.
the maybe the Switch. I'm not
Yeah.
too fussed about the PS5 Pro, mainly just because we know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
PS5, but more powerful to play games that look really, really pretty. But obviously, brand new like generational hardware is
Mm.
always pretty exciting. So do you think we'll get that this year?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, pretty certain they will get a Switch too. I think they've clearly been winding down some of their software development on Switch. It's it's already reached the kind of saturation point where, the sales year on year start to go down, even though it's still
Yeah.
selling very well. Um, that reminds me, two other games like Pikmin 4, I really want to play. Super Mario RPG, which I've bought and haven't even touched. So anyway, slight tangent there, but yeah, I think it's clear from the release schedule that what have they got this year in terms of Switch stuff that they've announced? The Princess Peach game, which looks really cool actually, and not that much else for them. So I suspect that that they'll launch Switch 2 at the end of the year with potentially some very big games. And yeah, I think we'll get an announcement next 4 or 5 months. I think.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask you both those things that you touched on. I was when we're going to get the
Oh, there
announcement
you
when
go.
it'll be released. So it must have been reading
Yeah.
my mind there, mate. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're probably on the money. I think the end of this year kind of makes sense. I think really the big question at that point is what does it launch with, and you kind of alluded to
Yeah.
it there. I think there's two big things that I think are possible. The first being obviously a new 3D Mario
Yep.
game, and probably the other one that you're thinking of is Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I think it's free. I
Which
mean,
one am
I
I
don't think
missing?
it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna launch with all three, but I
Yeah.
think that the first two are right. And then probably Mario Kart 9.
Oh, yeah. To be
Been a
fair,
long
good
time
good shout.
since we've had a new one. I think it would probably launch with two of those. Um, and if I were to guess, I think maybe 3D Mario and Mario Kart. I just have a feeling Metroid Prime 4 is in good shape, but it's further away than those two. Maybe kind of launch year game towards the end of it. But if they launch, to be fair, even if they launch with just one, let's say a new 3D Mario, that's a huge game to launch with. Because the last 3D Mario was at launch, just after within a
Yeah.
year really of the Switch. So um, I think people are really excited. I'm really excited for that. I don't know about you, but I'm
Yeah.
really excited for that. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've obviously had a lot of good Mario games. This generation, obviously, Odyssey was great. Bowser's Fury was great.
yeah,
Wonder was great.
yeah.
I guess if you want to count RPGs, a remake in there. What game we got coming out this year? Is it Donkey Kong versus Mario? Mario versus Donkey Kong as well?
Yeah, got that.
That's
Got
coming
that.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of, I guess, more mainline Mario games, yeah, we've had a lot of good Mario games this year. So I think that's probably, I want to say nailed on, just because it's been that long since
been a
Odyssey.
long
How long's
time.
that? Is it 6 or would it be 7 years this year?
Yeah,
Since six, I think.
6. I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
6 years. So, but yeah, surely that's a launch title. Like
yeah.
that's
But
a long
then
time.
but yeah, but then Prime. I know obviously it went through a change in development, but that change was that probably 5 years ago that they
Mm.
announced the switch from. I can't remember who was making it originally, but it went to Retro. Was it Retro?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a Bandai Namco studio. I think it was Bandai Namco Singapore or something like that that it was with, and then yeah, they announced the switch to Retro. So
yeah. But that switch was obviously a long time ago, so that's got to
yeah,
be getting there. Yeah. Do you think these games will be cross gen? The launch
I think
titles, if we
so.
do get
Yeah,
both of them out, yeah, it
yeah,
kind of makes sense. I think it'll be very difficult for them to ignore the 125 million or
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
Switch
yeah,
consoles that are already out there, and I guess there's a little bit of hope that Nintendo are going to come into the current century and start having things like backwards compatibility and things like that.
yeah.
Maybe, yeah. So that's always exciting when we get new hardware. Yeah. So 3D Mario. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Obviously, games like uh, the teams that are behind Zelda and things like that, they're going to be a little
Mm,
way off.
a little further
Um,
out.
do you think we'll get anything like upgrades to their existing games? Do you think like Tears of the Kingdom and things like that will get Switch to ports or Switch to upgrades or anything like that
I
out of
hope
interest?
so. I mean, it's Nintendo though, isn't it? So I don't, I don't know. I mean, you would like in an ideal world, you would think that this is going to be fully backwards compatible with
Yeah,
Switch, and that they will have some form of upgrade system, even if that's similar to what Sony do on the PlayStation 5 side, where you pay a small amount and they give you some bells and whistles version. Um, I really hope so, but I just don't know because we're slightly uncharted territory at this point with Nintendo because it's the first time in a long time. Um, the Wii U was the last one where they've had a continuation of um well, that wasn't even a continuation. This is the first real continuation of hardware, prior gen hardware effectively. So, it's up in the air. Like Nintendo might do some weird things. Hopefully, they just do sensible things, and I think they will because I
yeah,
think surely they want to get as many people, from the Switch over to new hardware. So I'm hoping that as you say, maybe you get like a upgrades for games like, Splatoon 3, just in terms of resolution, for example, that would be
yeah,
a big upgrade. The main ones are actually resolution based. I'd really love for them to do one for Bayonetta 3 because that really suffers in terms of
yeah.
resolution. But yeah, hopefully they have some sort of upgrade path for some of these games, or just some backwards compatibility that increases performance in some way.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as you say, Nintendo they're difficult to guess. I think they've not done, I guess, this sort of thing in the past. I'm trying to think. Obviously, as you say, we went from Wii to Wii U, but I guess maybe the closest, like the GB or the Game Boy to the GBA. The
Mm,
original GBA had a Game Boy cartridge port, didn't it? And
yeah,
the
yeah,
original three or DS allowed GBA games. That's what, if I'm obviously
I
we're going
think
back
so.
some time,
Yeah.
so they have dabbled in it a little bit. Um, in terms of the hardware, though, look, I mean, it's probably fair to say they're going to go for something similar to the
Yeah.
Switch. I imagine they're going to go for a hybrid model. Is there anything that you'll think they'll do different, or do you think it'll just be kind of Switch but better,
Yeah.
faster? Or do you think they'll maybe do
Um,
anything in terms of new? I don't want to say gimmicks, but you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
something to set it apart.
maybe. Yeah, they might have something, but I don't think it's gonna be. I think it'll be very, uh, evolution rather than revolution in terms of what they're
Yeah,
doing. And that's great to be honest, because I think that's all people really want. They've got a winner in terms of concept anyway, so they don't need to come up with some new concept. It might have some new gimmick, but I don't think that will be the main, feature of the
yeah,
system. I think the main thing, as you say, will be Switch, but much more powerful, much more capable, and continue on with the software launch. Um, I think it'll be a shame from everything that we're hearing that it'll have just an LCD screen at launch. I think that's a downgrade.
yeah,
But they'll no doubt come out with an OLED model at some point.
Do you
But
think there's a chance they come out with two models at launch, like maybe a cheaper LCD, lower storage, and a
maybe,
higher storage
but
OLED?
maybe, but I think that causes some logistical and manufacturing challenges to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
I think supply line wise, it's probably more sensible just to do one model in terms of screen, and then bring out an OLED version later. But obviously, I'm not going to wait for the OLED version.
You'll just upgrade when we
I'll
get
just
there, I
I'll just
guess.
sell I'll just sell the old one and upgrade to the OLED when that comes. I mean, it doesn't really matter to people who only play like you. I know you only play really docked,
Yeah.
so like it doesn't really make any difference. But for me, like I enjoy playing it in handheld. I mean, that's the thing that I think we both hope they they fix with the next one is please try and make it
Yeah.
more ergonomically friendly than the Switch was, which was just unless you have a grip, which I do, it's horrendous. It's absolutely
Yeah.
horrendous. So to hold it. So if they do that, that will be a big upgrade alone for the handheld experience. But
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've obviously not played either the Switch or the Steam Deck in OLED, so I don't kind of know what I'm missing at the moment. So kind of
you need to
that to
buy,
me,
just
the thing
buy
is,
an
I don't even
OLED
have an OLED.
TV.
That's the thing. I don't
Yeah,
even have an
just
OLED TV, so I don't. I've never experienced OLED, and I kind of fear that if or when I do, like it's just going to spoil every other
they
screen
will.
that
They will, but
I've
that's the good
got.
thing. Then you'll move over to just OLED, and then you'll be
Yeah,
happy.
and but my bank account will not. So,
Yeah, that's true.
uh,
That's true. But
but
still,
no, I get it, obviously I was tempted by the Steam Deck OLED, but the Switch OLED
so
never
good.
interested. Mainly, obviously, you just touched on it. I really struggle with the ergonomics, and that is honestly the biggest upgrade that I would want from Switch. Obviously, I want it to be more powerful because games generally run a little bit crap when
Yeah.
docked. I think an exciting part of the Switch, is obviously the fact it's powered by NVIDIA hardware. So it's going to be cool
Yep.
to see what sort of DLSS hardware it has in it and what impact that has on games. But ultimately, yeah, I would love for the ergonomics to be better. I don't expect them to go full Steam Deck, which I think
No.
is really comfortable to hold. But something in between what the Switch is currently in the Steam Deck would at least go a lot of the way
Mm.
to at least making games. Well, at least allow me to play games in handheld mode, which is just basically a no-go at the moment. And an improvement to the Joy-Cons as well, or whatever they end up doing with the controllers, because the Joy-Cons are a bit crap. But a large
Yeah.
part of that, I think, is just down to size.
Yeah.
Mine have got ridiculous stick drift on both of them at the moment anyway, but
Mm.
I play with the Pro controller. So yeah, hopefully ergonomically they make some big improvements there, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that because no Nintendo handheld has ever been particularly ergonomic. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if any of them were good.
3DS
Honestly,
XL wasn't too bad.
yeah, I
That was
didn't
better
have.
than the
Did I have the
Switch.
XL? I can't. I don't know if I had the XL. I had the original DS. I had a 3DS. I don't know if
Mm.
I got the XL. Yeah, I think the DS in general was probably a little better, but I think that
Yeah.
was largely down to the fact it didn't have two joysticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that kind of made it a little bit easier. So yeah, hopefully we'll learn more about that, and then yeah, we're going to have some good games to look forward to on
Mm.
Switch. And then what I'm going to find really fascinating with Switch is how I guess the power gap closes between Switch and the current gen hardware, because
Yeah.
obviously we're only about halfway through PS5 and Xbox Series generation at the moment. How close are Nintendo going to be able to get? I don't expect them to necessarily get there, but with DLSS, how's that
Mm.
going to look? I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Indy says the Switch is dead to him. Indy, we're not going to hate you, but you missed out on some good games on there, mate. But I know you're not a big fan of the whole handheld thing anyway, are you, Matt? So yeah, and then in terms of games, then Luke, obviously we've got some new hardware to look forward to, but there's probably a boatload of games across all the platforms coming. Some we know of, some we maybe don't. But what games are you most looking forward to this year?
Oh man, there's a lot. I think for me, indie wise, I think this year looks a lot better than last year did. Not last year was a bad year for indies, but a bit more subdued. I think in terms of really really big, um, fantastic indie experiences for me. Um, so I mean, Hades 2 early access, for
Yeah.
example. Um, Ultros, Pacific Drive, Earthblade is scheduled for this year
Yeah.
as well. Whether it makes it or not, don't know. Obviously, Silk Song,
Yeah, I was
maybe.
going to say we couldn't talk
Hopefully.
about indies without
Uh,
talking about a Silk Song for indie's sake. But
yeah.
yeah, the hope is.
Replaced is
Oh
set for
yeah,
this year.
Christ, yeah.
Hyperlight Breaker as well, which looks really good.
The
So
Plucky
there's
Squires,
Plucky
a game
Squire,
I
yeah.
got. Yeah,
So that's already Mina the Hollower as well, which is
yeah. I think Ash
the
called
Shovel
that
Knight
one
dev.
out
Yeah,
earlier as
cool.
well. Ash, I think saw that.
So like if all of those hit this year, which I suspect the vast majority will, that's like an all-timer good indie year on paper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like I would expect most of those to be very high quality, if not all of them,
yeah,
based on what they look like. So yeah, that's the indie side. But then I mean, AAA side, or but anything above indie. Oh, there's a lot. I mean, Hellblade 2 is probably my most anticipated AAA game, along with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
yeah.
Um, Whatever the Switch 2 launches with, which we just discussed. Um, Star Wars Outlaws. I'm really looking forward to that, actually.
Is that definitely this year?
Yeah, it's
Is
2024.
it cool? I'm
Yeah,
curious about that because it's from Massive, isn't it? The team behind
yeah,
the Division. And I really like
and
the Division
Avatar.
games. I
Yeah,
thought they had something pretty cool with Division, particularly with like the Dark Zone and things like that. Obviously, I don't necessarily know what type of game Outlaws is going to
yeah,
be, but yeah, really curious to see what that's like.
yeah. So, oh god, I mean, Helldivers 2. I'm really looking forward to because I
Yeah.
love the first one. Wukong, if that hits, which it's supposed to, August, I think that's
Yeah, it just got
set
that
for.
date at the Game Awards. Was it the Game
Yeah,
Awards that
yeah.
got
I
that
think
date
it's
as
Game
well? So
Awards. Yeah, in
yeah,
the
so
trailer. Yeah.
they must be pretty confident of hitting that. I know it's still 8 months away, but I don't think they would have put it down if they didn't have a degree of confidence that was coming out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to Silent Hill 2. I suspect
Oh,
that'll release.
are you looking forward to? It, or are you
I am
nervously
looking
looking
forward
forward
to
to it?
it. Because I've always said I think Bloober are mostly shit, but I think what they're shit at, generally, is story. As in when they're creating their own story. Now,
Yeah,
provided they don't veer away from the original Silent Hill 2 story, and I don't mind some veering away if they want to add to it. Because, for example, RE4 did that, albeit we're comparing Capcom to Bloober, which is a bit unfair. Provided they don't veer away too much, and they're just this remake is more of a Dead Space esque remake,
yeah,
with about a bit of a kind of Resident Evil 2 style remake with it. Then I am excited for it, but I think I'll only know kind of that when I see gameplay. I need to see some gameplay of it, and I need to see a
yeah,
section, whether that's just the first section of the game, for example, to see how faithful it is. Because Bloober, yeah, they've never made a game that's good, really. So to me,
yeah,
plenty of some okay games, some really bad ones. But the things they're good at are things that actually lend themselves very well to a remake. So very good at art direction. Um, they have good tech, so visually their games usually look pretty good. But the things they're bad at are pretty much narrative and
yeah.
gameplay. But they've never really done gameplay like Silent Hill, so we'll see. I am excited for it though. But yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that was PlayStation released like maybe a trailer or something to do with 2024 games, and they had Silent Hill 2 on there, which I don't think they necessarily had specified 2024 before then, but they also had Metal Gear Delta. I think it's called Metal Gear Delta, isn't
yes,
it?
yeah,
Snake
looking forward
Eater
to that as
also
well.
in their 2024 list as well. So
Yeah, if
yeah,
that's it,
Konami might be
that would be good.
releasing some AAA games
Yeah,
finally
that's weird.
this year. So
So yeah, so I mean that's just kind of ones off the top of my head really, and that's already a pretty Avowed is another one. Quite look forward to
Yeah,
that. That's already a pretty big year. I'd really I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I really love like Forza Horizon 6 to launch this year as well.
yeah.
That would be really cool.
That's due as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we're
I
about due
think.
one. I just don't know. I just don't know if it's gonna be this year. But they always
Yeah,
like to release them around, September, October-ish,
yeah,
right? Like that's generally when they hit. So I think we'll learn a lot more in the coming months with that
yeah.
one, hopefully. Um, but yeah, how about you? Like, I mean, I've just rattled off like 700 games for a supposedly weaker
Uh,
year than
yeah,
last year.
that's the thing, isn't it? And obviously, we're only in
Yeah.
January, and you've probably seen the rumors that we're going to have a developer direct by
Yep.
Xbox in the next couple of weeks. Which, if it's the same as last year, I thought last year's show was really
Yeah, it's
good,
good.
so I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that. We've not had anything from Sony on their first party stuff, really. Obviously, the PlayStation Showcase last year, I think, was met with not so great reactions.
You know,
So there's
shite,
still a lot.
very
Yeah,
much
we
so. Yeah.
yeah, very well put. I was trying to be a little bit more polite,
Yeah.
but so we still don't know an awful lot about Sony's first party. Obviously, we've got Switch, potentially
Mm.
new hardware, and what comes with that. I'm actually just looking through some things people have put in chat. So let's have a little look at these, and then maybe we'll go through some others. So Indies just put in there Still Wakes
Oh
Still
yeah,
Wakes
I'm
the
really
Deep.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nine Souls, Go Mecha Ball. He says all of 2024. Judd's says he also would love Forza Horizon 6. Ultros and Pacific Drive. I know you mentioned those. I'm really looking forward to Ultros as well. That is a
Yeah.
game that I'm actually a little bit disappointed I won't be able to play on a Steam Deck OLED, to be perfectly honest, because of
See,
how good it
see.
looks. What else? Ash says he's looking forward to the new game from the Ori devs. What was that? Was that something
Oh,
Wicked? What was it called
no,
again?
it was oh god,
It had Wicked in the
literally can't remember.
title.
I think
Didn't.
maybe
It definitely had Wicked. Ash, remind us. Hold on, I'll quick look. Moon Studios. No Rest for the Wicked.
that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if they said that was going to be this year or not. I don't think they
Did
put a
they
date on
say?
it.
I thought it was. I thought they maybe said early access or something this year. I
Did
could
they?
be completely wrong on that, but I felt like they did.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't. I can't remember. Obviously, that was one of the. I think the best announcements from the Game Awards.
yeah.
To be
Oh, they
honest,
did.
obviously, I
Yeah.
think.
So Q1 early access release on PC.
What
So yeah,
Q1 this year?
yeah. That's
Oh,
what I
holy
said.
shit! I didn't think it
Yeah,
would be okay. Cool. I mean,
really looking
that's a
forward to
nice
that.
surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Ori's genuinely one of the two Ori games are two of my favorite games ever. I absolutely adore those games. So yeah, I'm really looking
Mm,
forward to that. Obviously, completely different genre, but I'm really looking forward
yeah.
to what they do. What else have we got? Indie says 2024 is going to be my best year yet with the amazing lineup of indies. Obviously, we just covered a lot of them. Yeah, sounds like it's going to be a great year. Ash, he says he'll be unbelievably excited for Silent Hill 2 if it wasn't for Bloober.
Yeah, I
Silent Hill
get
2
that.
is a favorite. Yeah, I think a lot of people are similar. Have similar thoughts. I think you're right. Look, I think people need to see it, and then that'll maybe give them a chance to, I don't know, just
Yeah,
have a little bit of a sense of relief of what it is. But until we see it, I
yep,
can understand why people are nervous
yep.
for that. Dazra says Hades 2 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Ash says Mina the Hollower, Tekken 8, Helldivers 2, Rebirth, Lord of Exile. Yeah, so there's a lot of
Mm,
games to come. In terms of my most anticipated games, then, mate. So I think honestly, the one of my most anticipated games comes out in a couple of weeks, which is I touched on earlier, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. I
yeah,
absolutely loved Yakuza Like a Dragon. Obviously, I'm a big fan of turn-based RPGs, and I think what they did with that game was just it was some of the stuff they did was just wild. Obviously, if you know what Yakuza games are like, you could probably get a good idea. But I thought that was excellent. So really looking forward to that. That's out on the 24th or something like that.
yeah.
Hellblade 2, similar to you, mate. That's one of my most anticipated games. Obviously, we don't have a date for that this year, or
I can't
specifically
think it's
within the
too
year.
far though. Yeah, like I
Yeah,
think surely that's a first half of the year game at this
yeah.
point.
I would have thought if it was though, they might have maybe said so at the Game Awards. Obviously, they kind of confirmed the 2024 date with the trailer at the Game
Mm.
Awards. I figured
Maybe
if it
Dev
was,
Direct.
yeah, I guess that would probably make sense, wouldn't it? If
Yeah.
it comes out then, yeah. Hopefully, I think that'll be great for early this year, and then Avowed, I'm really looking forward to as well. Maybe that'll be then the later game
Yeah.
of the year, and if Horizon 6 does come, I think if Xbox had a year where even if it was just those three, which it's not going to be because we know we've got games like Towerborn and things like that come, but if it
Yeah,
was
that's it.
Hellblade early, Horizon 6, and Avowed, I think that would be
Strong
a
year.
pretty good year,
Yeah.
especially when you consider they've still got a lot of stuff in the live service, like Halo Infinite's come from strength to strength. Maybe not from popularity perspective, but in terms of the quality of the stuff that they're doing.
Are we
with
supposed to
that game,
get
so.
Tatanka this year, or is
Oh,
that?
so funny you mentioned that. So that is something that I'm hoping will, well, Tatanka no, because Tatanka apparently has been cancelled.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm hoping
But
we might see this year is something new from Halo. So the rumors have it at the moment that Tatanka's been cancelled in favor of certain, certain Affinity Crisis. I always
Affinity,
get
yeah,
certain
yeah.
Affinity and Creative Assembly.
Creative
I
Assembly,
constantly
yeah,
get them
yeah,
mixed up.
yeah,
I actually tweeted Creative Assembly before, and then 2 days later or something, I realized I deleted the tweet because I just look like a fucking moron. But apparently, whatever they're working on is now kind of whatever the next Halo game is, and they're working on that alongside 343. So rather than
okay,
Tatanka being like
fine.
a side project to Infinite or BR mode to Infinite or whatever it was originally going to be, it's apparently just whatever the new Halo project
Yeah,
might be. So
yeah, cool. Cool.
yeah, so I think this year's probably too soon for
Yeah,
Halo.
for
I would
Halo,
love
yeah.
it, but maybe next year would be. I mean, in terms of even the announcement, I don't know when
Yeah,
it would
I
release,
agree.
but I think this year probably maybe a little too soon. But
Yeah.
next year with maybe then the 2026 release, but that still seems quite far away. But we'll have to see. I mean, that would be kind of a little bit of a dream announcement to be honest. Now it's just Halo, but it's my favorite franchise. And then yeah, what else we got? So hold on, I did bring up a list of other games. So really, I think Hades 2 and Like a Dragon are my two most anticipated games of the year, and then just behind that, Hellblade 2 and Avowed. And then I'm trying to think of what other games we've got. So actually, let me go through this list that I got. I'll pick out. I'll not say all of them, but I'll pick out a couple. It'll be good to kind of get your thoughts on them. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown comes out.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Actually,
in less than
couple of
2 weeks. Yeah, I think the reviews on that are dropping
next
Monday
week, I
or
think.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're coming out soon. That is looking really really good, and it runs at 120 FPS on Xbox as well, which is going to be nice. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered comes out later this month. What else have we got in February, mate? I'm curious to see where you are. Give us a rating. Just first thing I want you to say is just gut instinct between 1 and 10. Suicide Squad.
Well, I've played this. So, well, it's somewhere in there. Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough. Indie give it a 1. Indie give it a 1. So
yeah. 10 being really hyped, and then 1 being couldn't give a shit. Yeah. It is somewhere in the 1 to 10 scale. You can probably tell where from the tone of my voice.
Yeah. Maybe on a similar train of thought, February we might finally see the release of Skull and Bones.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah, that's similar. On a more positive note, I don't know if you mentioned this one earlier, but it's one I'm quite looking forward to, which is Banishers from Dontnod.
Yes, yeah, that looks really cool.
That's out in February as well. That looks really good. I think that was pushed back from the end of this year to next year.
Yep.
So really looking forward to that. What have we got sort of in the March time? How are you feeling about Dragon's Dogma 2? Like out of interest, did you play the original?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I enjoyed the original. I am looking forward to it. I can't say I'm like super hyped for it, to be honest, because I think it just looks like the original. You know what I mean? Like it looks like a current generation version of the original. That's not a bad thing, but I did enjoy the original, but I wouldn't say that I like loved it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, like it just looks really good, but not it's not really, tantalizing me in terms of like
Yeah.
that's a really, I'm really really excited about that game. I'll provided it reviews well, I'll definitely pick it up. And provided hopefully the PC port's good, I'll definitely pick it up. But yeah, I don't know about you. Did you play the original at all?
I didn't, so I don't really have
Yeah.
anything to. It's almost got like a bit of a cult following. Dragon's
Yeah,
Dogma,
yeah,
hasn't it?
yeah.
I don't think it was like massively successful.
No.
I
It,
always hear about Easy Allies. They obviously talk about it a
yeah, I
lot,
love
so I've
it.
heard
Yeah.
about it, but I don't really have
Yeah.
any sort of frame of reference to it. And I've seen the stuff that because I think they released a fair bit of gameplay footage like last week or something, or maybe
Yeah.
just before Christmas. And I saw it. I think it looks okay, but like I'm not really getting it or feeling it now at the
Yeah,
moment,
it's
if that
kind of
makes sense.
like just as a tangent, it really made me laugh that because I think that launches the same day as Rise of the Ronin, which
Yeah.
I'm also really looking forward to. That actually was really cool. And I remember seeing some people saying, "Oh, Rise of the Ronin's going to get murdered by Dragon's Dogma 2." And I'm like, did you realize that Dragon's Dogma wasn't successful at all? Like it was not a
Yeah.
commercially successful game. Not to say that it won't sell more than Rise of the Ronin, but I find that the like these two games that like one's a new IP and one's based on an existing IP that really just has a big like not even a big like a cult following. I don't think like Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to set the charts alight with sales at all. Neither will Rise of the Ronin, I don't think. But it's a weird like this weird comparisons come out between the two. As to Rise of the Ronin's screwed because Dragon's Dogma 2 is launching the same day, but two totally different games, and Dragon's Dogma wasn't hugely successful. I think the second one will do better than the first for sure,
Yeah.
just because I think people are more into Capcom now, and also they seemingly got a bigger marketing budget for this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'd like it's kind of hard to describe the first game, but it's like it is an RPG, but the combat is also it always reminded me like, and you might see this from the video, sort of it's kind of got this like methodical Monster Hunter type combat, where it's kind of
Okay. Yeah.
awkward and
Yeah.
bumbling but enjoyable. I mean, for some people, like I enjoy Monster Hunter's combat, but it's a bit like that, but with RPG around it and a story.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that sounds all like good. I think the way I typically describe like Monster Hunter is like the two words that come to mind for Monster Hunter to me are heavy and deliberate.
yeah, yes, yeah.
If that makes sense.
Dragon's Dogma
Yeah.
2 is or Dragon's Dogma rather, exactly the
Yeah.
same. Yeah, so yeah, if you enjoy that, you'll probably enjoy Dragon's Dogma 2. But as all, I think just we'll wait for
Yeah.
reviews on it. I'm
And I
sure
think
it will be good.
yeah, I think it's also one of those things where kind of within our like gaming bubble, I think it's easy for things to appear maybe more popular than
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
they are
yeah,
as well. So we've got that, and Ash pointed out that he's really looking forward to Rise of the Ronin as well.
yeah. That's cool.
Both those March 22nd by the looks of things, along with Princess Peach Showtime, which you mentioned earlier, which looks pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. April, one game that I'm really really looking forward to. I don't know if you'd be into it, is Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is kind of like
Yeah, look,
a spiritual successor to Suikoden, or
d-
however it's
d- does
pronounced.
yeah, does look cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's on my list. Does look cool.
I did play the prequel, kind of. I don't really know how to describe what type of game it was to be honest. I can't remember what it was called now. I did play that, and I thought it was okay. Obviously, it's a completely different style of game in comparison. It's kind of more like a 2D kind of action game,
Yeah,
more than the turn-based nature of this one. But I'm really really looking forward to that, especially coming off Sea of Stars as well. It's kind of got me excited for that style
yeah,
of game. Um, I guess on the JRPG front as well, there's I'm going to look this up before I say it, because I can never remember where the hell is it. The new game from the Persona team, so Metaphor
oh yeah,
Refantasio,
yeah,
which
yeah. Let's
I'm I'm looking forward to.
That looks good.
Although it's one of those games where like I'm really looking forward to, but I played Persona 5 for about 30 to 40 hours and I didn't get anywhere near the end. And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like, am I going to be able to? I'll pick it up, but am I going to get to the end of it?
Mm.
Who knows? And let's have a look at the rest of this list. A game that I'm excited for. I don't think you'll necessarily share the same excitement. Is new Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which is coming out. Really,
Yeah.
really excited for that. The list that I'm looking at the moment, Luke, has Death Stranding 2 as a
Well,
TBC for this year. Are we expecting that?
um, not really. No, I
Oh,
mean it wouldn't surprise me if it dropped, I guess, because Death Stranding, the original, had a really short development cycle. For
yeah, I still
Kojima, I
remember
think it was,
just like how
yeah,
surprised I was when that game came out. It felt like
yeah,
the studio was created and the game was out in like a fortnight. It was
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
how
I think
quick
it took like
that
three
came out.
years or
Yeah,
something. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I suspect this one's bigger budget than the first one anyway. Probably bigger scope to some extent. We don't know because we've not seen much on it, but I would be surprised. I mean, if it did launch, fantastic. That would automatically, become probably the most anticipated game this
yeah.
year if I got wind of it. But I'm not expecting it. I'll put it that way. So, but you never know. I guess it's Kojima, isn't it? You never know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess that as we said before, we're still very early in the year. There's still a lot of
Yeah,
showcases to happen, where obviously the rest of the year will kind of fill out. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else on this list. I think another one, indie. I think you're looking forward to this, mate. Which is Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. I don't know if you're looking forward to that one, Luke. It was originally due to come out this
yeah, it
year.
does really good.
We got
Yeah, it
delayed. That
looks
that one
awesome.
that one looks excellent. And then yeah, I mean obviously there's a lot of games in here that some of that we've touched on, some that I don't think are coming out this year. I think this year's too early for Fable. I'm just looking at the
Yeah,
gamer.com has kind of a list. I
yeah.
think that's probably next year. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here that I want to touch on. Foam Stars.
Oh yeah, can't
Yeah.
wait.
I mean, hey,
Um,
we talked about it a while back, but it
got
got
really
pretty
good
glowing
hands-on,
previews.
didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when people
yeah.
played it, was it Summer Games Fest? I
I
think
think so.
people
Yeah,
played that,
yeah.
and a lot of
I
people
think it's
came away pretty
VGC.
excited.
VGC in particular said
Yeah,
they thought it was the best thing they played there, which was baffling. Not
yeah,
at least in terms of when you look at it and then you hear that, it's like, oh, okay, well, fair enough. It could be good. I think there's one game I forgot about was Warhammer Space Marines 2 coming
that
out.
got delayed. That was originally coming out this year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, was
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Got delayed till now, so I think that's maybe August or April or something like that. But
September 9th, according to this list,
okay,
man. So that got a pretty
yeah,
chunky delay if that's accurate at least.
yeah. First game was really good, and this one looks really good, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I haven't played too many of the Warhammer games. I haven't played any of the Space Marine games. I played the Vermintide
Yep,
games, which
yep,
I enjoyed, but I think that's Warhammer, not Warhammer 40k.
yeah.
If I'm right, sorry, I'm not too
No, that's right.
into the Warhammer franchise, but yes, I enjoyed the Vermintide games, but I've not checked out that. Yeah, I think we kind of covered all the big ones. There's a lot of things in here that I don't think are necessarily going to hit. Some of the ones that we touched on, but obviously we'll obviously find out more as the year goes on. Obviously, it'll be pretty cool if we did get that Xbox Direct later this month, because like I say, last year's show I thought was really great. We obviously got Hi-Fi Rush Shadow Drop that during that show. I don't think they'll do
Yeah.
the same this year, but obviously there's a
Rumors
good
about
chance.
the Double Fine game, isn't there?
Is there? I hadn't seen. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen those. Well, when was Psychonauts 2? That was what,
Oh,
3 years ago now, was
21?
it?
Yeah. So, but
2021.
I think there's rumors that this one is Kiln, which was one of their Game Jam games, which is
Oh,
like a
okay.
multiplayer game. So not big scale for Double Fine, even though their
Yeah.
games aren't huge scale anyway, but kind of small, thing. I can't say I'd be too excited about a Double Fine multiplayer game drop, to be honest. But I mean, if
Yeah.
there is one, then that's still really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed Psychonauts 2, and Ash says he's yet to have it, yet to play it. I would definitely recommend
Okay.
it. I really, really enjoyed that. But yeah, a multiplayer game, I think would make me a little bit hesitant, even though obviously I really love multiplayer games. I think
Mm.
just that's not obviously what Double Fine are necessarily known for. So,
Yeah,
but that'd be
exactly.
cool. I mean, if they did have something, that would be excellent. I think they'll probably have to be careful because that obviously sets expectations that we're going to get a shadow drop every time they have one of these development
Yeah.
directs.
You never know. I mean,
Um,
Xbox have enough studios now. They could probably work
yeah,
so like get some sort of shadow drop every year, maybe. But
true. Especially something,
um,
yeah, on the
small
smaller
scales.
scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and then the games that I don't think come out this year, but I would hopefully like to see a little bit more maybe during the summer showcase. I think this development director probably a little bit too soon. We can't touch on it before Fable. I'm wondering if we'll see more of that this year or whether that'll maybe be next year's summer showcase and that may be released late next year. I'm not too
Mm.
sure. But I would like to see something on Perfect Dark as well, maybe at some point.
Yeah.
But who knows when we'll see that. And I know we've got Stubbs in the chat as well. I'm actually really curious if we'll finally hear what the Coalition are working on this year because it's been a fair bit of time since Gears 5, and they were used to pumping games out pretty regularly. They've obviously been given a little bit more time. Are we going to get Gears 6? Are we going to get something else? Are we going to get the Gears collection? That's been rumored for some time. Really curious if we'll get
Mm.
any updates from them. But then also from a PlayStation perspective, obviously we don't know an awful lot about what they've got coming. We know they've got Last of Us. We know they've got Helldivers. I'm trying to think if there's anything else
Mm.
that we know of this year. I don't think we
Um,
know an awful lot about the 2024 lineup.
no, I mean in terms of pure first party,
Yeah, obviously we've got Rebirth as
it's
well. We should obviously
yeah,
count that.
and Ronin. But in terms of pure, I think the only other thing is Concord, which they've firmly committed to this year. But
I'm trying to think. I
mm,
know the name Concord, Luke, but I actually can't
yeah,
remember.
that was if you remember from the showcase, it was that trailer that showed literally nothing. So it was
Yeah,
in the spaceship and then the Concord name. All we know about it is that it's a multiplayer PvP game,
yeah.
basically. And I think that there are some murmurings that it might be a hero shooter,
Okay,
which would be
interesting.
quite interesting because we're not actually like that fad has gone a little bit, but that's kind of a good thing. Like it would feel a bit fresh to have a hero shooter at this point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because like,
it would.
um,
Especially since
so, but
Overwatch 2 kind of shit the bed a little bit as
yeah,
well, you know?
yeah. So that yeah, that they seem pretty confident that that's coming this year. And they seem to have some confidence about the project as well. So,
Yeah. It,
I'm yeah, be interested. See what it
who were
is.
the studios that it's
It's
not Amy Henning, is it? No.
no, the
Jade
Concord.
is it Jade
Jade
Raymond?
Raymond's game is Fair Games, if you remember that.
Yes, okay. I'm getting mixed up.
Concord is Firewalk
Right.
Studios, who I think they're mostly like ex Bungie
Okay.
devs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're I think there's potential for that game to be quite good, but I think I mean obviously we need to see what the fuck it is.
Yeah, definitely. And
Um
I guess whether or not it actually comes out, we know that Sony delayed a
yeah,
lot of those
yeah, so we don't.
live service games that they had, and obviously we
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to speak, but obviously they cancelled the Last of Us multiplayer
That's the
game
game.
as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do kind of show that hand a little bit this year in terms of the live service output that they're apparently getting.
Mm,
I've seen people talking about, and Ash has just corrected, just inform me there that Amy's working on the Black Panther Captain America
yeah.
game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Amy
right.
Hennig, yeah.
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 But I did hear some people talking about the potential of oh Christ, why can't I think of the game? I can't think of the name. The samurai game, Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tsushima 2,
yeah,
yeah. I
sequel to
don't
that
think that's
potentially this year.
likely.
Do you think you think
Yeah, no.
that's a little bit further off?
Yeah, I don't think that's like. I mean, original launch 21. We give it 3 years dev time.
Yeah.
I think that's very
3 years just
unlikely.
isn't enough these days, is it? Like, really, you're
Not
talking
for
four
Sucker Punch.
minimum, really 5 to 6, probably on
Yeah,
average these
I
days.
think maybe next year for that. But but not this year. I don't think there's no chance. I would hope that we get an announcement of it this year. That will be my hope.
Yeah.
But certainly not a release. And to be honest, I think that's in a good position as a game, because I think it's like it's one of those games where even people who don't have PlayStation um really like the look of that game, and even people
Yeah.
who maybe don't play on PlayStation much have played that game and are really looking forward to a sequel. So I think they can, and it's sold very well. So I think they can take their time with it, and I just want them to, make that game great. But yeah, it's announcement would be great, and also, as Indy says, it would be nice to get the PC port of that game.
Yeah. Was
'Cause
that
we
on
still
the
don't have
Nvidia
that.
leak? Because
I
since
think it
that's
was.
like
Yeah, I
that's like
think
the
it
source
was.
of truth.
Yeah,
That
Jensen's
thing.
prophecy.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was so. It's surely due at some point, right? I definitely double dip for that, by the way, on PC for sure.
yeah.
But oh yeah, what a great game. So yeah, but I wouldn't expect it. Yeah, I mean, PlayStation's one. Like to be honest, I don't expect them to have a big year in terms of pure first party releases. I think what you've got on paper now is probably what you'll get. They
Yeah.
might have something else, but I wouldn't expect that to be anything huge. Certainly not Tsushima 2 or anything like that. But that's like, I hear a lot of criticism about that, and I totally I get that, but I think the problem is I just don't really care, because the point of like owning multiple platforms is that when one first party, when one platform has a crap year or a lull year, like you've got everything else. So like it
Yeah.
just doesn't really bother me in the same way that it does other people. If Sony don't have a massive first party year, then fine. Xbox will have a big first party year, won't they? So Switch probably will, Nintendo
Yeah.
probably will, and then there's all the other stuff that's coming out. So it's fine.
Yeah. And it's not like you have to have 3 or 4 bangers every single year.
Yeah,
And I think that's not necessarily sustainable or realistic to expect that from a first party. To be perfectly honest, they've even, especially, I look at someone like Insomniac, and like the output that they've had so far
it's
this
ridiculous.
generation's
Yeah.
been outrageous. They need a bit of a break. So yeah, I think it's fine to have a little bit of a down year. And to be perfectly honest, when you look at the sales of the PlayStation 5, I don't think that's going to impact them really at all. That thing's selling pretty well. And if the PS5 Pro does launch this year, they'll have probably Pro patches for all of their existing first party lineup as well. That'll likely tide people over.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to have some great games on it anyway. Rebirth, obviously, is probably the biggest. Ronin looks really good. So there will be very good stuff coming to PlayStation. It's just not first party stuff, really.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're talking first party here specifically, but there's going to be a
just
boatload
specifically
of
from
third
their
party
studios.
games. That's going to be great as well. So there's one more game that I've just got my eyes on there that I'm quite looking forward to, that I'm hoping hits this year, which is 33 Immortals from Thunder Lotus.
See, I don't like the look of that.
Oh, do you not? I get it. I get why, but I'm actually really curious. Obviously, completely different, but I really like the look of that when they announced it.
Yeah,
to
I think that's fair, and I think conceptually unique, right? It's different, and that's great. I just don't. I don't know. I just didn't like. I watched the 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 second Xbox showcase that they do, where they go in a bit more in depth about certain games.
Yeah,
extended showcase. And they had it there, and Phil Spencer was playing it, and I just looked at it and just was kind of like, like it just didn't really grab me at all. I think maybe that's some of the multiplayer cynicism coming out, really, more than anything. But I just didn't like the look of it very much. But maybe I'm wrong.
I think that's fair. Obviously, I think it's a bit of a risk going from Spiritfarer to this.
Yeah.
You know, it's a
Yeah.
massive change. I hope it's successful for them. And I'm just generally a big fan of kind of co-op games in general.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's kind of right on my street. So I'm looking forward to playing that if it does hit. So yeah, I think we've probably covered most of the stuff that we at least know about at the moment. Obviously, speculate a little bit about what might come, and hopefully it won't be too long before we learn a little bit more. I'm just gonna have a little look through chat, see if there's anything that I've missed. There's a lot of Halo chat going on. I do play a lot of Halo stubs. It was my most played game last year, but I don't record an awful lot of footage, to be honest. I only record footage specifically for podcasts, so I'll pick a game and then I'll play that. What have we got? I'm pretty sure we've seen some others. Indies, yes, Sushiman PC would be nice. Sorry, Ash, if I did get your expectations up for that. What else? I'm pretty sure we saw the Stubb says Gears 6 would be 2025 or 2026. Yeah, that probably makes sense. I think if it is 2025 Stubbs, I wouldn't be surprised to see an announcement of some kind this year, maybe, and then showcase of the game next year, and then released at some point next year, maybe. We'll obviously just have to see. Indy says Pepper Grinder, not one I'm too familiar with in Indy. One you might have to educate me on at some point on your show, mate. Indy also mentions Ball Path of the Teal Lotus, a Metroidvania. Judd says Kiln. Oh yeah, Kiln is the Double Fine game. Indy, you've got loads here, mate, haven't you? Harold Halibut. Did you mention that one?
Oh, yeah.
I think you mentioned.
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
Yeah.
This one.
Biomorph, another Metroidvania, apparently coming out Q1. And Ash, I think this is the last one I mentioned. Ash mentions he might be one of the 12 people that's excited for X Defiant. No longer Tom Clancy's X Defiant, just simply X Defiant. No, they did remove the Tom Clancy's brand from that. I mean, look, I'm a first person shooter fan, and I just don't see it. I think the thing is, I've just got very little. I know we spoke about Star Wars earlier, come from massive, but I just don't have any confidence in anything Ubisoft.
Apart from Prince of Persia,
admittedly,
I genuinely think that'll be really good.
Yeah, I you know it is. Yeah, sorry, I do stand corrected there. I think that does look. I think. I don't know. I think. Yeah, sorry. I should correct myself on that. I am really looking forward to Prince of Persia. But when you look at most of their output, like Far Cry doesn't interest me at all. Skull and Bones, man. Like, I do hope that finally comes out, just so we can move on. Because it's just been a bit.
I think Ubisoft hope it comes out so they can move on as well.
Yeah. And so. Yeah, we'll see on that one. The thing is, obviously, big fan of multiplayer shooters. It's not a battle royale. Can you remember what the battle royale was called, Luke? What was it called?
Oh God, the one they shut down.
Yeah, because it was a bit crap.
Hyperscape.
Yeah, that's the one.
Was that
That's
it?
the one. Yeah. I just don't have a lot of confidence in Ubisoft in that style of game. So it's hard to get excited. And I think the original announcement for the game as well was pretty bad. I think the way they tried to position the game, wasn't great. But we'll see. If it's free to play and it's a first person shooter, I'll probably at least check it out and obviously get a better idea. The one thing that would be nice to see from Ubisoft this year, though, maybe, is something on that Splinter Cell remake. But again, it's probably too early for that, maybe, because it sounded like it literally just started kind of development when they made that announcement. What was that? 2 years ago now, maybe.
Quite a while.
Yeah, so that's probably too soon for that as well. So, we'll just have to wait and see. But we'll see, Ash. We'll see. More Rayman would be good. Rayman Legends, I think, is honestly one of the best 2D. Was it Origins then Legends? I think.
Yes.
Did it go? Yeah, I think Legends was awesome 2D platformer. So, yeah. Well, we'll see how the year pans out, but I think there's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, I think last year is going to be a really tough year to live up to, but I think, yes, I still think this year has potential to be an excellent Excellent, yeah, all around. And
Mm.
but as always, we'll see, because games get delayed regularly, so we'll just have to wait and see what actually hits. But hopefully, it won't be too long before we learn a little bit more from everyone. So, yeah, I think with that, then, Luke, we can probably wrap up for this evening, mate. Unless you had any sort of
Yeah.
final thoughts or final games you wanted to touch on before we wrap up.
No, I think that was pretty comprehensive, to be honest. As
Yeah,
you say, looks like a really, on paper, very
yeah.
good year.
We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see, mate.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, I think we'll wrap up there then. Thank you very much for everyone for joining. It was nice to see some familiar faces in there. We've got Pyro, Ash, Stubbs, Juds, Dazarus. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone that I've seen in chat, but there's been a lot of chat going on. So thank you very much, everyone, for jumping in and having a chat with us. Hopefully, you'll see us all maybe on the Indie Games podcast in the not too distant future. So keep an eye out on that. And look, obviously, as always, if you're up for doing another one of these in the not too distant future, I think it'd be cool to check in a little bit later in the year, see how things have panned out. If we do get that developer direct, if we do get those shadow drops, and if we have anything else, I think it'll be cool to have another chat if you're for that, mate.
Yeah, most certainly.
Excellent. Cool. Well, we'll wrap up there, guys. Thank you very much for joining once again. Hopefully, we'll see you guys in the future. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Bye bye.